We're going to call the meeting to order. Karen, can you just check to make sure we have 18 in order to do acceptance of the minutes before our presenters start?
Okay, hold on. So I'll just do the roll call, right?
I think we should have 18. 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 6, 7, 8,
Oh.
18, 19, 20. Yep, we should. Yep.
Yeah.
Yep, we should have it.
Yeah, you do.
Okay. Do you have the list in front of you to do the names?
No, I don't.
Okay, so pull it up. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to have Alex. Is Alex there?
Yeah, I'm here.
Hi, Alex. Okay, so I'm going to actually bypass so we could get set for the roll call and actually start with the presentation.
Perfect.
Since you only got like 40 minutes. You could begin with your introduction, your organization, and you could kind of take the floor. Prior to the meeting, there was a presentation that was sent out to everyone, and it's an overview. You guys could look at it afterwards. Normally, it's the same process as if we are having a regular meeting. Will be up on the screen. So after the meeting, it was sent out earlier today, but it will have the flow and the presentation that Alex is going to be speaking about. So Alex, the floor is all yours. Go ahead.
Thank you, Sarana. Thank you so much. So I will. I'm the project manager for the Mayor's Office of Information Privacy. And I'll run through a short presentation today. We'll have about 10 minutes of slides and then a few minutes afterward, as Sharana said, just to have some questions and just quick follow-up. But we have a short presentation today. Of course, a lot is going on right now in the city, as we know, ongoing crisis. So I want to make this presentation as informal and seamless as possible. So we recognize, of course, that the identifying information law might be very detail-oriented, but it really has become a fundamental way that the city operates in protecting identifying information and increasing trust and engagement in our city agencies. And very likely someone from your community board has completed this compliance process before in 2018 or has submitted quarterly reports to the Chief Privacy Officer. So we'll lay out all the steps quickly this afternoon, and then particular to 2018, you'll just review and update those forms as necessary. So that's my quick introduction. We'll proceed to slide 2. Just a high-level overview on slide 2 of the identifying information law, known as the city's privacy law, which restricts the collection, disclosure, and retention of identifying information by city agencies. The law defines identifying information. It established the Chief Privacy Officer I just mentioned, and the Citywide Privacy Protection Committee requires each city agency or office or community board to designate a city or an agency privacy officer and then report biannually on collections and disclosures and privacy protection practices. So those are the reports first reported in 2018 that I'll talk about coming up before July 31st, 2020, later this summer. Slide 3. So this is what I'm talking about. These are the examples of identifying information that we need to be aware of. I won't run through this list. Not all of these types of identifying information apply to community boards, but this really kind of provides some context about what I'm talking about outside of just the black letter of the law, and really provides some scope of a non-exhaustive list of examples of identifying information that community boards might interact with and might want to document for the 2020 compliance forms. So here on the 4th slide, I'll quickly run through our agency compliance checklist. Later this month, we will be issuing written guidance on the 2020 process and providing revised templates, which will look mostly familiar to 2018's templates. And then from that, the next step is an internal review of inventory and collection, collection disclosure practices completed internally by the community boards through May of this year, so through next month. Then the next step on our checklist is an internal review or updating of routine and non-routine collections and disclosures. I'll talk a little bit more about that later in the presentation. And then the final step, the goal that we're working for, the completion of our definitive reports, the end product, comes July 31st, and that's submitting the report. So that's Form 3 that we'll talk about. And again, just a pause. I really do want to underscore that we understand the ongoing challenges of COVID. We have a July 31st, 2020 compliance deadline, but we want to be as supportive, my team, up until July 31st and beyond, of course, to make sure that we're addressing any community board concerns and increasing compliance as much as possible between now and July 31st. So moving forward quickly to slide 5. We have compliance step number 1 that I mentioned before, Form 1, which is just an inventory of collections and disclosures. The form should be completed by the APO at the community board, kept on file by the APO. And then again, as I've been mentioning, based on 2018 inventory forms, community boards should have completed the same form 2 years ago, and thus should review and update that form as necessary. If the APO or agency privacy officer of the community board has not yet completed an inventory form, they should do so now. So again, looking back from 2018, updating as necessary. That's compliance step number 1. Here's just an example of what form number 1 looks like. On the right, we have by May 31st as our internal goal that community boards will conduct the inventory by. So this is just what you'll expect in terms of what form number 1 will look like. Here on slide 7, moving forward to compliance step number 2 out of 3, we have forms number 2 and number 5. Again, you'll keep this PowerPoint. I'm running through it quickly this afternoon, but have all of this information on deck, if you will. So forms number 2 and number 5 are routine and non-routine case-by-case designations. The same, they must be completed by the APO within your community board, and APOs may pre-authorize as routine collections and disclosures of identifying information which further the purpose or mission of the agency and are made during the normal course of the agency's business. That's for Form 2. And then APOs can also approve collection and disclosures on a case-by-case, non-routine basis. That's through Form number 5. And again, APOs can return to 2018 forms that will help inform the 2020 designations, either routine or case-by-case basis. Slide number 8 here, we just have an example of form number 2 shown here. Again, just what to expect. And then on the right, the deadline of by July 31st. And then just quickly again, what am I talking about? These are just some commonly asked questions that you can review. Just for example, how do I determine if a collection or disclosure is routine? APOs should review completed inventories. And again, the language is the law defines routine as made during the normal course of agency business and furthers the mission or purpose of the agency. So that's kind of what we're looking for. So that's just, again, quick Q&A on slide 9 here. Slide 10, I mentioned our 3 compliance steps, working toward the goal of the complete report. Form number 3 is that agency report. And again, in completing the agency report form, agencies should look back to 2018 responses, which will help inform 2020 process, 2020 inventory and designation forms. And again, that July 31st, 2020 deadline that we're all supporting the community boards, building toward, and we're really here to serve as a resource up through and beyond July 31st. So that's slide 10. Slide 11, as we've shown, just examples of what you'll expect, what form number 3 will look like. Just, a quick reference slide here on slide 11. And then I'll conclude just quickly. Here are a list of contacts. I'm on here. Our Chief Privacy Officer, Laura Negron, her contact information is on here. And again, we are your resource today, all the way through this compliance process. We're here to support you. We're open for questions. And all community boards, agencies will shortly be receiving full guidance that will explain this process further and updated templates so everyone can dive right in. So we're really excited about this process, this review process from 2018, and we're here to support. So that's what we're looking forward to. So now I'll open the floor if anyone has any questions. Thank you, Sarana.
Okay. Alex, can you just state the purpose of the report and why it's needed?
Yeah, the purpose of the report is just to make sure that community boards, agencies have a good sense of their inventory of what they're collecting and what they're disclosing in terms of identifying information. So the purpose is to have that written down, recorded within each community board, within each agency. So each report is showing, okay, there's a whole list of identifying information. We have those examples of the non-exhaustive list of identifying information. So each agency has a sense of what they're collecting, what they're disclosing on. So then we can report back to the Chief Privacy Officer, the Citywide Privacy Protection Committee, the Council, and the Mayor. So just really having a good sense across the community boards, across each agency, of what type of information everyone is interacting with. Does that provide a little more context?
Okay. And if someone's unable to make the July 1st deadline, is there like an extension?
So the deadline will be July 31st. We haven't heard anything about that changing at this time. We're here to support. It's April 7th now. We're hoping to support all community boards all the way through July 31st, as I've been saying. We'll let you know if that does change, but as it is right now, it's July 31st is the legally mandated deadline. So we'll support everyone through that process as much as we can, as much as necessary.
Thank you. Do we have any questions?
This is Ethel Tyus with CB8. I have a question on whether the district manager and board staff can share the names, email addresses, and telephone numbers of appointed board members with the board chair.
I'll give a quick answer. I have also our deputy counsel on the line, Sam Solomon, who might need to back me up. I think what the reasoning behind this law is to make sure that you're documenting routine designations and routine disclosures. So if Community Board 8 was mentioned, if as part of Community Board 8's process, you routinely disclose those names to those individuals and you have that designated as a routine designation in your agency report, in your forms, then that is part of your routine designations and that's documented. I think that's what the law is getting at, that if there is information sharing, we're wanting to promote information sharing, just responsible information sharing. So you would want to designate any identifying information in those forms through forms 1, 2, 3, and 5. If that's a normal, again, furthering your business purpose in the normal course of business, if that's what's done normally, sharing those names to those individuals, then you would document that and that would be part of your compliance process.
I'm sorry, this is Ethel Tyus again with CB8. I just need a yes or a no. Is it permissible for board staff to share the names, email addresses, and telephone numbers of appointed board members with the board chair?
I think as long as it's designated, yes.
Any other questions?
Who does the designation, sir?
Within each community board, there should be a designated agency privacy officer, which applies to community boards or agencies across the city of New York, across our government. So what I would do for Community Board 8, if you don't know off the top of your head, you very well may, of course, look back to 2018 to see who submitted your compliance forms in 2018. And that individual was the one who was designated, I guess, as your agency privacy officer and submitted those forms. So I would try to look back to 2018 and see who within your community board was submitting those forms.
Any other questions from anyone else? And Alex, going once, going twice. And Alex, if you had to, what would be the follow-up with the boards to assist them? Because this sounds like a kind of like a tedious process. Are you going to be following up with each board? Or are you working with do you prefer to work with the chair or the district manager? And when would that start?
That's a great question, Sarana. I think my understanding from my work thus far with the Community Affairs Unit is that the district managers will be our main point of contact. We're, of course, open to more specific strategies that are best suited to each individual community board, depending on, within even across certain boroughs. So we're open to some flexibility within that framework of working with district managers. In terms of immediate follow-up, as I mentioned just quickly earlier, in April you should be expecting expanded 2020 guidance, which will spell out the process specifically, and then also provide those revised templates. And from that process, we'll next have a more formal, if you will, another WebEx or webinar, if you will, that will feel kind of like our call this afternoon. And we'll again walk through the process a little bit further once we've actually issued those updates, those updated forms. So we'll have this type of educational session again, maybe in about a month or less. And then starting now, again, hopefully everyone has my email, my contact. I can connect community boards with different members of my team, and we can answer questions starting now and moving forward, depending on which community board needs us in different ways.
Okay, thank you. And the presentation was sent out early today, and I believe on the last page, it has your contact information on there, your email and your phone number. And if
Yes,
anyone did not get it, I'll send it out. I'll send it out again. So that will conclude our business with the Mayor Office of Operations. Going once, going twice. No questions, correct? I want to have Karen. We're going to try to do like a roll call for the minutes from March 3rd. Minutes were sent out earlier today. We do apologize for the delay, but just due to working remotely and having to get the data from the office, it did pose a problem, but we were able to get it, and we were able to put together minutes. And we don't know if everyone got a chance to look it over or review it, but we'd like to have a motion to accept the minutes from March 3rd.
Teresa Scavo, Community Board 15. I motion to approve the minutes as printed.
Second? Okay. All those in favor?
Aye.
Any
Aye.
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 Aye. Aye.
Aye. But thumbs up.
Now we did a little backwards. Don't.
You went out.
I believe we do have quorum. We kind of checked and see, but we're just going to take the attendance, in that order. So Karen.
Just for the record, who seconded the motion?
Julio
Gail.
Pan-
All right, I'll start with the roll call. Community Board 1.
Present.
Community Board 2. Community Board 2. Community Board 3.
Here.
Community Board 4. Community Board 5. Community Board 6. Community Board 7.
Present.
Community Board 8.
Ethel Tyus here for Board 8. I vote to accept the minutes.
Thank you. Community Board 9.
What is it that you need to do?
Community Board 10.
You go to the whole board? What do you need that iPad for?
Please be mindful. I'm trying to take the roll call, so there's some stuff in the background.
Sorry.
So, your name, please. Thank you. So, Community Board 10.
Sorry about that.
Okay. Community Board 11.
Yeah.
Community Board 12. Community Board 13.
Yes, Eddie Mark representing Community Board 13.
Thank you. Community Board 14.
Gail Smith, Community Board 14, present.
Thank you. Community Board 15.
Teresa Scavo, present.
Thanks. Community Board 16.
Janice Morgan, present.
Thank you. Community Board 17. Community Board 18. Councilmember Barron.
Present.
Councilmember Cornegie.
Present.
Councilmember Cumbo.
Present.
Councilmember Deutsch.
Present.
Councilmember Eugene. Councilmember Brannon.
Present.
Councilmember Yeager. Did I hear Yeager? Present? Can you state your name? Oh. Councilmember Lander. Councilmember Levin. Councilmember Mizell.
Present.
Councilmember Ampry Samuel.
Present.
Councilmember. Okay. Thanks. Councilmember Menchaca.
Present.
Councilmember Councilmember Lewis. Okay, thank you.
Thank you. And board president present. At this time, do we have, you finished, Karen? Karen, that's it?
Public Advocate's Office.
Yeah, that's it.
Thank you. At this time, do we have any unfinished business? So I'm just going to mention there was a letter that was attached, the MTA letter. It may have to be edited just due to the circumstances that's going on now, but it was a call for the need for additional outreach to the communities regarding the Brooklyn redesign network. But I guess outreach will kind of have to change in that avenue. So they maybe need to kind of tweak it. So if you'd like to send your feedback to that, please do. And we're not really kind of rushing the process. We're kind of taking our time with that. Do we have any new business?
This is Ethel Tyus from Board 8. I have a question on the Borough President's choice of a video conferencing platform for the community boards. WebEx was mentioned. Can you please advise on when that decision will be made?
So we did hear back, I believe we got a response back from the mayor. The BPS sent a letter just asking for a unified platform. I do know some people had concerns with Zoom, so we did offer a call-in number. So we just had to use it just in the time of, just to kind of get the meeting going. And the mayor's office kind of had to present for today just to make sure they get ahead of the ball in regards to the report. But there was a letter sent out asking them to have a unified platform that would be easy and affordable to the board. My understanding, that has been approved. We're reaching out to find out what the protocol is, whether we're going to have to, whether do it is going to be reaching out to the board, or whether we have to reach out to do it to find out how that's going to be set up so you guys can conduct business. And I believe a copy of the letters was sent out to all the boards. Everyone received it?
Yes.
Okay. Yeah, so
this is Hercules.
Yes.
If I may add as well, to my knowledge, there is a conference call between the city's Do It and the borough president and the deputy borough president regarding most likely the details of the accounts that we will have access to. So we should be able to get you guys some information very shortly.
Oh, thank you, Hercules. Yes, the call is tomorrow. So we'll have that. We'll make sure we ask those questions because I believe one of the community board wanted. Thank you, Hercules.
I'll let us hold on. Who we got next?
Hercules?
No, I'm done.
Oh, yeah. So we'll pose those questions because two boards actually reached out today after the letter. Just want to know, they want to get started and they want to know how and what they need to do. So we'll make sure that we get that information and relay it. I know idea of how you guys are using technology, what technology you guys want to use. And they do have that survey, but with this new development, I think it'll be a lot more easier now that they approve the fact that to have a unified platform, which will not be Zoom. So, but,
may I ask, this is Ethel Tyus with Board 8, may I ask that whether you know in advance that the cost for whatever platform is chosen will be automatically added as an increase to the various board budgets?
Yeah, so we can't necessarily speak on that. They'll have to deal with Melody in regards to, the budget. My understanding in the letter was stated it should be a unified platform that I don't want to misstate that should be something I believe that should be free, but don't quote me. I'm not too sure. But Melanie is working that aspects of it in regards to whether who have a pay card, don't have a pay card. This has been a debate that's been going on all last week just to find a way that works for everyone. So there's many unanswered questions because it's just like, on territory that we haven't entered before. So we're definitely trying to figure it out. So I do not have an answer for that question.
Thank you.
Thank you. And just as another note to the council members, I'll be following up regarding the recommendations for the community boards. A majority of the worksheet and appointment were sent out. We may have a slight delay and extension, but we should meet our deadline to get out the letters by May on time. Just so you guys would know. So, all right. So with that note, do we have any questions before we wrap? Okay. So can I get a motion?
Motion to adjourn, Teresa Scavo, Community Board 15.
Second that motion. Jabron Akram from Councilman Deutsch's office.
Thank you. Can I, everyone?
Aye.
Aye. All right. Thank you, guys. Thank you so much. And guys, be safe. Thank you for your participation.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Bye.